Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023. Today's show is going to be short in terms of things to talk about, but we probably will go a little long because of the circumstances with some of these subjects. We'll recap Monday Night Football, then we'll recap the baseball from yesterday, look at today's baseball games. We'll do a future for the portfolio. NFL Week 1 overreactions for the power rankings. This should always be fun. News and notes and best bet. We'll start with football. It was a night that we all will remember for good and for bad, as the Jets come out with a 22-16 win in overtime over the Buffalo Bills. They're 1-0. Buffalo's 0-1. Aaron Rodgers, 4 plays into the game, ruptures his Achilles, and that's what we believe it is. Before he went down, 0 for 1, no passing yards, and was sacked one time, and the injury happened on the sack. The Jets initially thought it was an ankle, and then it was reported that it was an Achilles. Robert Saleh is almost certain that he's out for the season. We'll get into more of that in a second. Zach Wilson comes in relief, 14-21, 140 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Josh Allen, though, was terrible. 29-41, 236 yards, a touchdown, and 3 interceptions, 5 sacks. He was so bad, Josh Allen. But what a terrible loss that was for the Bills, losing to Zach Wilson and the Jets after Aaron Rodgers was knocked out of the game in 4 snaps. To the Rodgers thing, I feel bad for Jets fans. This obviously is terrible. I think the win obviously has the Jets feeling a little better, as they should. And it's just so unfortunate what happened to Rodgers. All the hype, people predicting them to potentially go to the Super Bowl, and Aaron Rodgers being the MVP of the league. And it's just classic Jets. It was so typical Jets of them to acquire Rodgers and for him to rupture his Achilles on the 4th snap of the game. He didn't even finish the first drive. I know it's luck. I get it. And Zach Wilson was not very good. I think the defense was amazing. And Garrett Wilson made one of the best catches you'll ever see in the end zone to score that touchdown that set up the game-tying touchdown. So that catch was probably the second or third best catch I've ever seen. I think Odell's catch was still better. Maybe I'm a little biased, but Garrett Wilson's catch was the best catch I've seen since the Odell catch. Although I do give the Odell catch the edge, but that was the best catch I've seen since the Odell catch. I know Justin Jefferson made a great catch last year in that game in Buffalo. I would put that third. And then that receiver on the Seahawks made a great catch in the Super Bowl, in which they lost. And then obviously the Tyree catch and the Manningham catch are obviously memorable too. But that Garrett Wilson catch was the best catch I've seen since Odell's. So ramifications to the Jets. Zach Wilson can't be their starter the whole season if they want to make the playoffs. Maybe the Raiders falter a little bit and Jimmy Garoppolo's available. Maybe the Falcons are willing to trade Marcus Mariota, but I don't think that cuts it. Gardner Minshew, I think, is a realistically good option for them. Gardner Minshew is not a bad backup quarterback. The Colts were smart to sign him, knowing that maybe there's a quarterback injury to a point where somebody's desperate to acquire him. That's a good, realistic option for New York. Some people are talking about Cam Newton, who hasn't played in a long time. Some people are talking about bringing back Joe Flacco, which I think he's washed. People are talking about Matt Ryan, who's in retirement. I think he's washed. Phillip Rivers is interesting. He wasn't bad with the Colts that year. At least took him to the postseason. But I think he is not coming out of retirement. But my favorite option for the Jets in terms of guys that might come out of retirement is none other than Tommy Terrific Brady. The idea of Tom Brady replacing Aaron Rodgers on the New York Jets is just, whew. Great for this podcast, great for content. But to me, that's your best hope for the Jets. Get Tom to come out of retirement. But who knows? Maybe you could argue Tom's washed. But that's just the best storyline if they get Tom to somehow come out of retirement. Because there's people in the media that think that Tom isn't really done. Most notably, the Ringers is Bill Simmons, who's the biggest Tom Brady fanboy ever, obviously, and rightfully so, because Patriots. He's a big Patriots fan. So, we'll see what happens with the Jets. Realistically, I think the options are Jimmy Garoppolo and Gardner Minshew. But Garoppolo, if the Raiders falter a little bit. And I do like the Minshew idea for them. I think Marcus Mariota is no good. Tyrod Taylor of the Giants, maybe? I don't know. Trying to think of some other options. Jarrett Stidham of the Broncos, but I don't think the Broncos want to trade Jarrett Stidham. So, personally, if I'm the Jets, I'd go for Minshew. Unless if you can get Tom out of retirement. Alrighty. Now move on to baseball. We will go over the results from yesterday. A lot of rainouts, and look ahead to today's all of a sudden busy slate. Doubleheader game 1. Braves over the Phillies 10-8 and 10. O's over the Cardinals 11-5. Nats over the Pirates 6-2. Phillies over the Braves 7-5 game 2. Rangers over the Blue Jays 10-4. D-backs over the Mets 4-3. Brewers over the Marlins 12-0. Impressive win for the Milwaukee Brewers. Rays over the Twins 7-4. A's over the Astros 4-0. Terrible loss for the Houston Astros. Cubs over the Rockies 5-4 as best bet loses. Angels over the Mariners 8-5 and 11. Giants over the Guardians 5-4 and 10 on a walk-off single by Lamonte Wade Jr. Padres beat the Dodgers 11-8. Yankees Red Sox postponed doubleheader today. Royals White Sox postponed doubleheader today. So now we have a lot of games. 1:30 this afternoon, Yankees Red Sox from Fenway. Randy Vasquez and Nick Pivetta. Randy Vasquez has not started for the Yankees in a while. I really liked him earlier in the year when the team was still kind of in the mix. He hasn't pitched in a while. But Boston's favored, obviously. -1 for Yanks are +122. Over under 10. Overs -102. Unders -120. Yanks +1/2 is -156. Red Sox -1/2 is +130. I'm taking the Yankees straight up +122. This is a Randy Vasquez bet. I really like him, so Yankees +122. 4:30 doubleheader game 1. Royals White Sox. Brady Singer and Dylan Cease. White Sox -126. Royals +108. Over under 8.5. Overs -114. Unders -106. Royals +1/2 is -100. White Sox -1/2 is +164. I like the over a lot in this game. 6:30 Cards Orioles. Adam Wainwright and John Means. So John Means is making his season debut tonight. So it was Dean Kremer yesterday. So that's awesome. O's are -196. Cardinals are +164. Over under 10. Overs -122. Unders even money. Cards plus 1.5 is minus 132. O's minus 1.5 is plus 102. I'm going with the Orioles on the run line minus 1.5 at plus 102 because of the return of John Means. And Adam Wainwright's been a fade all year. Nats Pirates. Jonah Don and Bailey Falter. Pirates minus 144, Nats plus 122, over under 9, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Nats plus 1.5 is minus 164, Pirates minus 1.5 is plus 136. I like the over a lot in this game. Braves Phillies. Max Fried, Zach Wheeler, really good pitching matchup. Braves minus 126, Phils plus 108, over under 8.5, overs minus 118, unders minus 104. Braves minus 1.5 is plus 136, Phils plus 1.5 is minus 152. I like full game under. Reds Tigers. Brandon Williamson and Joey Wentz. Reds minus 118, Tigers even money, over under 9, minus 178. Reds minus 1.5 is plus 132, Tigers plus 1.5 is minus 160. I'm going with the Reds minus 118. They need the game. Just as simple as that. 7 o'clock, Rangers Jays. Max Scherzer, Hyun-Jin Ryu. Rangers minus 116, Jays minus 102, over under 8.5, overs minus 102, unders minus 120. Rangers minus 1.5 is plus 136, Blue Jays minus 1.5 is plus 164. I don't think Scherzer's been that great since coming to the Rangers. I'm taking Toronto minus 102. Doubleheader game 2, Yankees Red Sox from Fenway, Carlos Rodon and Cutter Crawford. Red Sox minus 134, Yankees plus 108, over under 9.5, overs minus 104, unders minus 118. Yanks plus 1.5 is minus 178. Red Sox minus 1.5 is plus 146. I like the over. Carlos Rodon's been terrible all season. I feel like he is hiding an injury, so I'm going with the over. D-backs Mets. Ryan Nelson and Jose Budo. Mets minus 110. D-backs minus 106. Over under 9.5. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. D-backs minus 1.5 is plus 150. Mets plus 1.5 is minus 182. I'm going with the D-backs minus 106. They need the game. 7:30 Marlins Brewers. JT Churgois and Freddie Peralta. Brewers minus 162, Marlins plus 142, over under 7.5, overs minus 120, unders minus 102. Marlins plus 1.5 is minus 154, Brewers minus 1.5 is plus 128. I'm going with the Marlins plus 142. They need the game. Rays Twins. Zach Little and Joe Ryan. Twins minus 130, Rays plus 110, over under 8, overs minus 108, unders minus 112. Rays plus 1.5 is minus 188, Twins minus 1.5 is plus 155. I like the under, full game. Doubleheader game 2, Royals White Sox. Jordan Lyles and Touki Toussaint. White Sox minus 130, Royals plus 110, over under 9.5, overs minus 105, unders minus 115. Royals plus 1.5 is minus 188, White Sox minus 1.5 is plus 155. I like the over a lot. A's Astros at 8. JP Sears and Justin Verlander. Astros minus 310, A's plus 250, over under 8.5, overs minus 105, or minus 115, unders minus 105. A's plus 1.5 is plus 116, Astros minus 1.5 is minus 140. I like the under. That could be 6-1 Houston. 8:30 Cubs Rockies. Javier Assad and Chris Flexen. Cubs minus 180, Rockies plus 152, over under 12, minus 110 each way. Cubs minus 1.5 is minus 128, Rockies plus 1.5 is plus 106. I like full game under a lot. 9:30 Angels Mariners. Patrick Sandoval and Brian Wu. Mariners minus 200, Angels plus 168, over under 7.5, overs minus 122, unders even money. Angels plus 1.5 is minus 126, Mariners minus 1.5 is plus 105. It looks like I'm going to win my Angels win season total bet. I like over 3.5 Angel runs at plus 114. Only because I don't really trust Brian Wu. Guardians Giants 9:45. Cal Quantrill and Sean Manaea. Giants minus 152. Guardians plus 128. Over under 8.5. Overs minus 104. Unders minus 118. Guardians plus 1.5 is minus 166. Giants minus 1.5 is plus 138. I like the over. And last but not least, 10 o'clock, Padres Dodgers. Michael Wacha, Lance Lynn. Dodgers minus 162. Padres plus 136. Over under 9. Overs minus 118. Unders minus 104. Padres plus 1.5 is minus 150. Dodgers minus 1.5 is plus 125. I like the over because I just don't like Lance Lynn. Okay. We do have soccer, so that's good. Just to fill some content that is necessary. We have a lot of things today. We will go over CONCACAF Nations League. Group play started on Thursday. We just haven't had time to go over it because of football. So Thursday, St. Martin over Anguilla 6-0. Trinidad over Curacao 1-0. St. Lucia over St. Martin 5-1. U.S. Virgin Island and Cayman Island 2-2 draw. Guadalupe over St. Kitts and Nevis 2-1. Panama over Martinique 3-0. Guatemala over El Salvador 2-0. Friday, Haiti, Cuba 0-0 draw. Bermuda, French Guiana 0-0 draw. St. Vincent over Belize 2-1. Grenada and Suriname 1-1 draw. Montserrat over Barbados 3-2. Nicaragua over DR 2-0. Jamaica over Honduras 1-0. Saturday, B Virgin Islands over Turks and Caicos 3-1. Guyana over Antigua Barbuda 5-1. Puerto Rico over Bahamas 6-1. Sunday, Guadalupe over St. Martin 4-0. St. Lucia over St. Kitts and Nevis 2-0. Martinique over Curacao 1-0. Guatemala, Panama 1-1 draw. And Trinidad over El Salvador 3-2. And then Monday, which was yesterday, Aruba over Cayman Islands 2-1. DR over Montserrat 3-0. St. Martin over Bonaire 2-1. And Nicaragua over Barbados 5-1. All right, we have a lot today. 3:30, we have French Guiana and Belize. I'm going to pull up CONCACAF right now. So maybe it's under the live because I don't see odds for all of these. All right, so we'll just go over the slate. French Guiana, Belize, St. Vincent, Bermuda, 4 o'clock Cuba and Suriname, Turks and Caicos and Dominica, 6 o'clock Guyana and Bahamas, 7 o'clock Puerto Rico and Antigua, Barbuda, 8 o'clock Jamaica, Haiti, 10 o'clock Honduras and Grenada. So some group stage stuff that we have to do. International friendlies. Yesterday, Myanmar over Nepal 1-0. Cambodia over Macau 4-0. Hong Kong over Brunei 10-0. Vietnam over Palestine 2-0. And Kyrgyz Republic over Kuwait 3-1. And then today, so far, Philippines over Afghanistan 2-1. Singapore over Taipei 3-1. Syria over China 1-0. And Japan over Turkey 4-2. South Sudan up 1-0 on Kenya right now in the 56th minute. And then today, 11 o'clock, Bahrain and Turkmenistan, Costa Rica and UAE, South Africa, Congo DR, 11:15 Qatar and Russia, 11:30 Iran and Angola, 12 o'clock Azerbaijan and Jordan, Ghana and Liberia, 12:30 Saudi Arabia and South Korea, 1 o'clock Egypt and Tunisia, 2:30 Morocco and Burkina Faso, 2:45 Scotland and England, 3 o'clock Germany, France, Ivory Coast, Mali, Senegal, Algeria, 7:30 Mexico and Uzbekistan, and 8:30 on TNT. You have USA against Oman. Euro Championship League qualifying. So we have a lot of results to go over. We'll just do yesterday. Croatia over Armenia 1-0. Iceland over Bosnia-Herzegovina 1-0. Wales over Latvia 2-0. Portugal over Luxembourg 9-0. And Slovakia over Liechtenstein 3-0. And then 2:45 Spain and Cyprus, Norway, Georgia, Italy and Ukraine, Belgium, Estonia, Switzerland, Andorra, Israel, Belarus, Romania and Kosovo, Sweden, Austria, and Malta and North Macedonia. And then World Cup qualifying. So results from Thursday, Paraguay, Peru, 0-0 draw. Colombia over Venezuela, 1-0. Argentina over Ecuador, 1-0. Friday, Uruguay over Chile, 3-1. And Brazil over Bolivia, 5-1. All right, these games we'll pick. 4 o'clock, we have Bolivia and Argentina. Argentina's minus 185. Bolivia's 5-1. The draw's 3-1. I'm going to go with over 2.5 goals, minus 114. 5 o'clock, Ecuador and Uruguay. Ecuador minus 110, Uruguay plus 330, draw plus 220. I'm going with Ecuador minus 110. 6 o'clock, Venezuela and Paraguay. Venezuela plus 145, Paraguay plus 220, draw plus 190. I'm going Venezuela plus 145. 8:30, Chile and Colombia. Chile plus 210, Colombia plus 140, draw 2-1. I'm going to go with Colombia at plus 140. And 10 o'clock, Peru and Brazil. Brazil minus 10, Peru plus 750. The draw's 4-1. I'm going to go with under 2.5 goals at minus 114. All right, now move on to the portfolio. We are going to cash in on some portfolio bets. And the one that we have our eyes on is the Baltimore Orioles, as I took them at 17-1 back in May when the Rays were off to that great start to win the AL East. They are 4 up in the loss column right now on Tampa Bay. Tampa's playing a little bit better than the O's right now. They've won 4 straight. The O's at least have an easy schedule. So they're the loss column, they're 4 back. But they're 3 back in general, but they're 4 back in the loss column. And they play each other in Camden Yards over the weekend. That is humongous. Absolutely humongous. The O's better be ready. And then the Angels under is going to cash. And then the Texas Rangers to make the playoffs at over 2-1 is going to cash too. So we're in for some big cash outs over the next several weeks. So NFL futures. The best time to bet futures is to get a team that's coming off a loss. And you might just have more value. There's a team that I think is going to have a winning record this year that I didn't expect them to win week 1. They're on the road. We're in a defensive game. And the team that's favored to win their division had some trouble beating an inferior opponent in week 1. I understand that the quarterback situation for this team was not good at all in week 1. But who knows? Maybe that quarterback bounces back. Or maybe they go elsewhere. I'm looking at the Tennessee Titans at plus 370 to win the AFC South. I think that is really good value. Although, oh my God, the Giants to win the NFC East is 21-1 and Washington's 15-1. Holy shit. That's something I wasn't expecting. The Packers are plus 290 to win the North. But I think the Titans at plus 370 is really good value. So I'm going to do a fifth of a unit on the Tennessee Titans at plus 370 to win the AFC South as my latest portfolio pick. NFL Power Rankings. A tradition like no other on the Madison Miller podcast is going to do the Overreaction Tuesday segment where I make up an overreaction. And we talk about what the overreaction is and whether that could be accurate at the end of the year or not. All right, number 32, the Arizona Cardinals. Josh Dobbs can cost them Caleb Williams. Josh Dobbs wasn't bad in that game the other day. He wasn't. And if he is competent throughout the season, and Kyler Murray, by the way, is another Jets option. So Josh Dobbs wasn't terrible in that Washington game. Maybe the Commanders stink. Who knows? But he could cost them Caleb Williams if he's competent. 31, the Houston Texans. Could end up being frisky all season. I felt that they were a little frisky in that Ravens game for a little bit, and then they just fell apart. I won't be shocked if the Texans are playing better teams, especially the Jaguars in their own division. Although you could argue the Jaguars and the Ravens are on the same level. And they're friskier in the game. They just happened to fall apart in that game, and the Ravens finally got going. But I wouldn't be shocked if they're frisky. They look frisky on Sunday. Number 3, the Carolina Panthers. The preseason and week 1 was the indicator of a last place team. Number 29, the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson, Offensive Rookie of the Year favorite. Running around doing some stuff. Kept the Colts in that game against Jacksonville. 28, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Can win the NFC South. I know my favorite overreaction was when the Texans beat the Jaguars. I think it was last year, and my overreaction was they can win the AFC South. So this is probably going to be similar to that, and they don't win that division. Number 27, the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields is the new garbage time quarterback. I felt like Kirk Cousins was that in Washington. Matt Stafford with the Lions. There are some other pretty good examples. People think it was Rivers early on in his career with the Chargers. Sam Bradford on the Rams sometimes. So, there's a couple examples of these. So maybe right now it's Justin Fields. 26, the Denver Broncos. Nothing will change with Russell Wilson. To me, nothing changed. They lost to the fucking Raiders, for crying out loud. If Russell Wilson changed, they won that game. Number 25, the Tennessee Titans. Ryan Tannehill is washed. Tannehill, we know he did not play well at all. And who knows, maybe the Raiders fall out of it and they get Jimmy Garoppolo or something. And he's an upgrade over Tannehill, and maybe they win the division with Garoppolo. And speaking of Garoppolo, number 24 is the Las Vegas Raiders. Jimmy Garoppolo is still a winning quarterback. He did just enough for them to win on Sunday, and if the Raiders fall out of it because of their defense being bad or whatever, they could trade him to a team like Tennessee or maybe the Commanders if they choose to go there. And speaking of the Commanders, they're 23. My overreaction for them is that they'll end up being a 7 or 8 win team. They got the week 1 win against Arizona. They have a winnable game on Sunday against Denver coming up, so you never know. 22, the Los Angeles Rams. Sean McVay is on his way to Coach of the Year. No Cooper Kupp, no problem. They literally have 3 players that we all know and a bunch of no-names, and they go in Seattle and beat the Seahawks. Number 21, the New York Football Giants. Daniel Jones has regressed and not worth his contract. I think the latter part of the statement will end up being true, obviously, but who knows? Maybe Micah Parsons is on his way to 25 sacks and a runaway defensive player of the year. Maybe the Cowboys are just awesome, but the Giants were the worst team of week 1, if you ask me. But the weird thing is that they didn't have the worst loss of week 1. That was the Bills last night. They didn't even have the worst loss in their own stadium. The Giants just played the worst. And then the team that's played the second worst is number 20 on this list, and that's the Pittsburgh Steelers. Two, obviously, teams I picked to make the postseason before the year, and the Steelers, my overreaction for them is that Mike Tomlin will finally have a losing season. This is their first week 1 loss in a couple of years, so I don't think I've had that overreaction yet, unless if I did the overreactions after week 4 or something like that, and the Steelers were like 1-3. Number 19, the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith has regressed and is not worth his contract. So then the Giants and Seattle, same overreaction except different quarterbacks. But the difference between Seattle and the Giants was that Seattle was not shut out, although the Rams are a worse team than the Cowboys. A much worse team, I may add. So, Seahawks, same thing. The latter part of the statement, I think, will end up being true. But if the former is not true, then they're on their way to Caleb Williams sweepstakes. And that's a major overreaction. Number 18, the Minnesota Vikings. The close game luck from last season has vanished. And you could argue it vanished in the playoffs against the Giants last year. And now they lose at home to the Bucs and Baker Mayfield and Todd Bowles. So the point of this one is that they were a lucky team last year rather than a good team. 17, the New England Patriots. Mac Jones is on his way to a big season. I really like how the Patriots played. I think they deserve to win that game. If the rookie receiver doesn't go out of bounds, the Patriots drive and probably win that game. The way that was going, the Patriots were just really unlucky in week 1. Although they were down 16-0 and they looked every bit as bad as the Giants and the Steelers did for a little bit of that game. But that rally really got them off the hook. Number 16, the New York Football Jets. My overreaction for them is that the only way for them to have the season they dreamed of this season is to get Tom Brady out of retirement. I know Minshew is a realistic option for them if they want to make the postseason. But if they want to win the Super Bowl, you need to call Tom Brady and say, get your ass out of retirement. And this would be a lot of fun. And help us. And the idea of Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady on the same team for a year technically is funny. Number 15, the New Orleans Saints. Their defense is top 10. They have Marshawn Lattimore. They have Cam Jordan. They have Pete Warner. And they have some other guys that I like. So they might be a top 10 defensive team. Number 14, the Atlanta Falcons. Desmond Ridder ain't it. I know they won the game, but he wasn't good in that game. They won that game because of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Alliger and, Carolina stinks. Number 13, the Green Bay Packers. Will win double-digit games and will win the NFC North. Jordan Love was really good in that game. I was very impressed with Jordan Love. He was my most impressive young quarterback of the week. And although Brock Purdy was great too, but that team's really good, and I love Brock Purdy. But I didn't expect Jordan Love to put up 38 points. That's my point of the Green Bay thing. Number 12, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen is not an elite quarterback. He threw 4 interceptions last night against the Jets in a game where Aaron Rodgers ruptured his Achilles. So, Josh Allen's not even close to Burrow and Mahomes. Although Burrow was bad in week 1, but he was injured, let's be honest. He's not going to look right until October. That might be another overreaction. We'll get to the Bengals, but Josh Allen just is not elite. He's not even as good as Trevor Lawrence. Like, my point of this is that Josh Allen's probably closer to Kirk Cousins and Dak Prescott than he is to Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. Number 11, the Detroit Lions. The hype is real. They went out and beat the Chiefs. Here we go. Number 10, the Los Angeles Chargers. They will not make the playoffs unless the run defense is fixed. Their run defense stinks. I know they were thrown all over too, but Tyreek Hill's amazing. And there's going to be some men in the middle available. Let's say the Rams week 1 win was a fluke and the Rams are like 1-8 at the trade deadline and Aaron Donald's like, hey, send me to a contender, maybe the same stadium but the other team. He would immediately fix that defense. Number 9, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence, MVP candidate. Actually, front runner. He was awesome. And I don't recall people picking him outright for MVP, but I have seen him penciled in as a dark horse candidate. But the overreaction here is that he's a front runner. Number 8, the Cincinnati Bengals will not win double-digit games unless the offensive line is fixed. This is a major overreaction, obviously, but that Browns defensive front led by Myles Garrett is awesome. I get it, but that offensive line is terrible. Number 7, the Cleveland Browns. The defense is championship caliber. Strong statement for an overreaction for week 1. Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, Jeremiah Koromoa Owusu, Shelby Harris. They have a lot of guys. Number 6, the Baltimore Ravens. The medical staff may need changes. They feel like football's version of the New York Yankees. Sometimes in terms of guys get injured every year. It's the same old song and dance. Obviously Lamar's hurt over the past couple of years. He looked pretty good on Sunday. But obviously there's J.K. Dobbins for the year. I kind of went on a tail page about that yesterday on the show. About how that guy never stays healthy. Ronnie Stanley hurt. Marcus Williams hurt. So the Ravens really may need to look at their medical staff. Number 5, the Kansas City Chiefs will not win another Super Bowl with Patrick Mahomes unless the wide receiver situation is fixed. There's no WR1s on this roster. If they trade for Mike Evans, great. There's your WR1. There's could be some other guys like we had, maybe Cooper Kupp. Trying to think of some other guys that would fix that big problem. And obviously no Kelsey's a big deal. And the Tyreek Hill trade might be the one rare trade that, despite winning the Super Bowl, it's a loss. Number 4, the Miami Dolphins. They are a Super Bowl contender if Tua Tagovailoa stays on the field. They were awesome. Offensively, at least. But I know Ramsey's hurt and the Chargers have a good offense, but they might be a contender. Number 3, the Philadelphia Eagles. This is an odd one for Philly, but this was just me watching the game, and maybe the weather had a factor into it. But has Jalen Hurts regressed as a passer? He only had 170 yards. He has all these great weapons, a great offensive line. I know the run game's going to be relied on too in Philly with the line, but part of me wonders if Jalen Hurts has regressed as a passer. And that might, if they had lost that game or not played well, then he would have been right there with Daniel Jones and Geno Smith in terms of big contract regret overreactions. Number 2, the San Francisco 49ers. Hands down, the best team in the league when healthy. The only reason why I have them 2 and not at 1 is because they did not pitch a shutout or get to 40 points. That's all. And that's okay. You don't have to pitch a shutout and score 40 points every week. You don't. All that matters is that they got out of there healthy and got the win and really proved a lot of us wrong. And by the way, speaking of the Niners, that was your winner for the Rat Line of the Week special. They were giving 2.5. Everyone had Pittsburgh. And the other one was the Rams plus whatever against Seattle. I believe it was like 4.5, 5. It was in the Vegas zone. But everyone and their mother took Seattle. Nobody had the Rams. So that was the other one. That was like the whack. And number 1, the Dallas Cowboys. 40-0 win at the Giants. The Cowboy fans took over that stadium as they usually do whenever they play the Giants or the Jets there. And it's funny, next week they play the Jets at home, and now they're going to be everyone and their mother's survivor pool pick without Aaron Rodgers. And my overreaction for them is that they'll finally end their Super Bowl drought. Because that defense was just getting after Daniel Jones. Granted, the Giants' offensive line, especially the interior, is not very good, and they had a rookie starting at center. And their offense has a lot of good pieces. Brandon Cooks, good addition. Tony Pollard's now the RB1 now that Zeke's gone. So the Ewing theory with Ezekiel Elliott with the Cowboys, and Amari Cooper for that matter, is on. So there you have it. NFL Power Rankings heading into Week 2 with the Week 1 overreactions. Now we move on to the news and notes for today. We have a lot to get to. Let's start with football. We talked about Rodgers. Robert Saleh said that Zach Wilson is QB1 going forward, although he shouldn't be. But x-rays were negative, which was weird. And he's getting an MRI today. A ton of injuries that we have to talk about. Browns. Jack Conklin out for the year towards ACL and MCL. Brutal loss for the Browns. I probably should have had them lower in the power rankings because of that injury, but holy crap. It's never good to lose a tackle. And arguably your best offensive lineman, too. N'Kobe Dean to miss multiple games, but he'll avoid surgery for his foot injury, so that's not good for the Eagles' defense. Big loss for the Pittsburgh Steelers. 2 big losses. Cam Hayward, multiple weeks with a groin injury, and Deontay Johnson with a hamstring injury. 2 absolutely brutal losses. We didn't even mention that in the power rankings, but those 2 guys are important to them. And although I do think Johnson's overrated as a receiver, Hayward's underrated on the defensive line, and I think Hayward's the bigger loss here. And that's not good for my AFC North. Andy Reid says that Travis Kelce's getting better, so that's good news for the Chiefs. And even better news for the Chiefs is that Chris Jones is back. 1-year deal, $25 million. Well, it's worth up to $25 million. So good job on the Chiefs getting him back. They realized that they probably would have won that game if they had one of those guys on Thursday night. And if they had both, they would have won by double digits, obviously. Damar Hamlin did not play last night against the Jets. Healthy and active. But he was on the sideline. They kept showing him. He was really into the game. T. Higgins likely to hit free agency as the Bengals won't negotiate extension midseason after low offer. Wow. Austin Eckler uncertain for practice this week. Ankle injury, not good for the Chargers. Broncos tight end Greg Dulcich expected to miss multiple weeks with a hamstring injury, not good for Denver. There was lightning before the game, and they shelter in place at MetLife as no one was allowed on the field ahead of the game. But luckily, the game started on time, and there was an orange sky that looked beautiful. Kadarius Toney trolled Giants fans after the loss the other day. Well, he shouldn't be talking. You're the reason why the Chiefs lost on opening night. Josh Allen took accountability after turning the ball over 4 times. That's the responsible thing to do as an adult, let alone an NFL quarterback. We talked about the Chiefs and Chris Jones. Graham Gano will be out as he underwent x-rays as he got spiked during the loss. So that's a pretty big injury for the Giants. He cost them 6 points. So they obviously need a new kicker for the time being with Gano hurt, and that makes sense to why he missed a bunch of kicks. Or is it the Giants lying and saying that, making excuses? But I'm actually believing he's hurt because he was really good last year. And sometimes kickers don't last. But I just genuinely think he's hurt. So we have some basketball stuff to talk about. But before that, there's a viral Jets fan that gave the finger on TV after Zach Wilson threw that pitch or the pick. Garrett Wilson had the early nominee for Catch of the Year. That was awesome. The pregame ceremony was awesome. Aaron Rodgers runs out with the American flag on the 9/11 anniversary yesterday. The funny thing is that during the game, Mark Sanchez made a fumble joke as he thought Josh Allen's fumble looked like the butt fumble. I love Mark Sanchez. That was really funny. Kevin Durant was at the Drake concert as he was walking through the crowd during the show in Austin. So Kevin Porter Jr. got in trouble as he was arrested for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend, who's former WNBA player Kaiser Kondrazik. That's not great. And then the Rockets can't punish him as they have to wait for the NBA to finish its own investigation. But that's not great, obviously. The NBA is to vote on load management as competition committee weighing changes to rules regarding stars resting. That is a really good decision by the league. LeBron wants to play in the Olympics next summer, and he's recruiting other stars. Kevin Durant's rumored to play. Hopefully Stephen Curry plays. And if all of them play, USA has no excuses. And I mean 0 excuses if LeBron, Durant, and Curry all play. And Team USA is including Joel Embiid as he has both U.S. and French citizenship, but is non-committal on decision. '24 potential number 1 overall pick, Ron Holland impressed NBA executives at the G League Invitational. The Damian Lillard trade talks are to resume as the Blazers and the Heat will discuss the Lillard trade before the start of camp. And then the Heat are expected to pursue Kelly Oubre as the Heat can make a move for him if it trades for Dame. The Cavs are signing Tristan Thompson as he's finalizing a deal to go back to Cleveland, so that's a good backup big for them. And the Spurs are waiving campaign as he gets a chance to have a bigger role in a contender. And Texas Tech lands 2024's number 9 overall player, Micah Hudson, as he verbally commits to Texas Tech over Alabama, Georgia, and others. So that is pretty cool. Matt Olson hit his 50th home run yesterday, which was awesome. J-Rod joins the 30-30 club, 30 homers, 30 stolen bases. J-Rod needs to be in the MVP candidate. Ohtani's injured, although still playing, but he's on a lousy team. But J-Rod needs to be an MVP finalist. I'd put him number 2 on my ballot. Brian Hayes, the Pirates third baseman, calls for robot umpires as he's done with umpires who really don't care. And a big one, the Cubs are calling up Pete Crow Armstrong as he's set to join the Cubs today. So that is exciting for the Chicago Cubs. He's their best prospect. All right, Masked Singer from Sunday night. We'll recap the episode. So we had perhaps the biggest unmasking in the history of the season in the season 10 premiere. There was one contestant. Her name was Anonymous. I like the name. It's appropriate because you're anonymous under the mask. So you're Anonymous in this regard to the character. So throughout the show, she performed right away. They, throughout the show, gave out hints and whatnot. And I'll get to the filler content in a second. This is obviously a deal that Fox made with this celebrity for a one-show deal. They kicked off the episode with her performing What About Love by Heart. She was outstanding. So the first clue, she was on one special list, the Times 100. Her second big clue, there was concrete with, I think, handprints, which was maybe a nod to Hollywood, hints about being an actress. And then you had your typical clue package later on with the card. There's a painting of Nick Jonas. She caught a big break. She struggled with demons. There was the state of Texas. She hit rock bottom in her life. There was a princess crown. There was a dinosaur. So, guesses. My first impression guess as I was watching football and I heard her voice in the commercial. The voice sounded like Lady Gaga for a little bit. And then as she performed on the show and I saw it as a whole, I thought Kelly Clarkson. But as the clues came out and there was a Texas clue, she's from Texas, dinosaur, she got her start on Barney, and that's kind of how she got her break, and she was involved in the Disney Channel. I think she dated Nick Jonas at one point in her life. She hit rock bottom at one point of her life. The clues screamed Demi Lovato. Jenny said Miley Cyrus, Alicia Keys, Jennifer Hudson. Nicole, Christina Aguilera, Ariana Grande, Pink, Demi Lovato, Ken, Lady Gaga, Robin, Kelly Clarkson, Demi Lovato. So Ken and Robin had ideas like I did. So I know I'm saying these things out of order because that's not how the show went, but I'm doing it by how the categories were. So Anonymous, and then they gave out hints about new contestants for the season. And by the way, the technical season premiere, or the regular season premiere, obviously tonight was a special with Anonymous. So September 27th when it all begins. Survivor starts that night too. So contestants that we'll see throughout the season. Diver. The first clue was a cardinal. Is this person from St. Louis? Hated creatures. So this was somebody that might have been hated at one point. Gazelle. The first clue was a Mickey Rourke connection. This person has ties to Mickey Rourke. Royal Hen. Very known around the world. And there's a newspaper. And then Husky. 10 million. 10 million, does that mean views? Or albums sold? Or something that could mean how much money he made on his first professional sports contract, so maybe it's an athlete. And then they did the best performances in the show's history. They did the top five. Number 5 was The Greatest Showman by Donny Osmond. In season 1. Number 4 was 'Cause I Love You. That was Leanne Rimes as the Sun in season 4, which she kicked off season 4. And I thought the Sun was season 5, but I was wrong. It was season 4. Season 5 was the Cloodle-Doo year. Cloodle-Doo season. Number 3 was Rainbow, was Thingamajig, Victor Oladipo. Oh, and then Donny Osmond was Peacock. I was trying to think, what was the name of his character? So Thingamajig, Victor Oladipo with Rainbow. Number 2 was My Heart Will Go On by Tori Kelly, who was Seahorse in season 4. And that's when it dawned on me, right, Sun was season 4 because Sun and Seahorse were the same season. And we all thought, or all the judges thought that was BB Rexa. Imagine BB Rexa on The Masked Singer now, after I'm Good and the success that had. BB Rexa on The Masked Singer now would have been bigger than BB Rexa on The Masked Singer in season 4. And number 1 performance in the history of The Masked Singer, Stay With Me by the Monster, T-Pain. I still believe that was the best performance in the history of the show. An honorable mention for me that they should have included. I have a couple honorable mentions. Chris Daughtry with I'm Alive as the Rottweiler in season 2. Rumor Willis season 1, California Dreamin'. Rumor Willis season 1, A Little Party Never Killed Nobody. Now is in the first episode of the season when everyone thought it was Lady Gaga. And another honorable mention, Return of the Mac, Donnie Wahlberg as Cloodle-Doo. Another one that I thought about in terms of great performances in the show's history, and I'm surprised this wasn't in the top 2. Queen of Hearts with La Vie en Rose. Obviously, Jewel. That got snubbed from the list. And My Heart Will Go On was a good performance. And so was 'Cause I Love You. But I think that Rumor Willis with California Dreamin' and Jewel with La Vie en Rose were robbed. But I do agree with number 1 with Stay With Me by T-Pain, a.k.a. The Monster. All right, crazy unmaskings. They did a collage of all the crazy unmaskings in the show's history. Kermit the Frog was what they showed first. Dick Van Dyke, T-Pain, Rumor Willis, Michelle Williams, Gladys Knight, Donnie Wahlberg, of course, with Jenny shaking on the ground. Lil Wayne, which I called William Shatner and Mickey Rourke, because Mickey Rourke unmasked himself. Where was Nick Cannon in that? It was the Bulldog. That was a crazy unmasking. Although predictable unmasking in a way. And he was really good, too. But he probably would have been voted off anyway. And how about Chris Daughtry when the panel, nobody guessed it was Chris Daughtry? But we all knew the B was Gladys Knight. So I'm surprised Gladys Knight made that collage. And then Michelle Williams, I feel like people knew that was Michelle Williams. And in other performances throughout the show, Michelle Williams and Rumor Willis performed together A Natural Woman by Aretha Franklin. That was pretty cool. Nicole Scherzinger with Barry Zito and Victor Oladipo performed Meant to Be by BB Rexa and Florida Georgia Line. Bow Wow and Joey Fatone performed ABC by the Jackson 5. And then Nicole closed out the show by performing Purple Rain by Prince. Nicole's really freaking good. I'm sorry, I'm surprised that the Pussycat Dolls didn't have, a longer career, or Nicole really didn't have more of a solo career, because I think she would have been amazing. Obviously, Michelle Williams was the firefly or the butterfly? The butterfly, I think. Rumor Willis was the lion. Barry Zito, I forgot his character, but he was on the show longer than expected. And Victor Oladipo was Thingamajig. Bow Wow was the frog. Joey Fatone was the rabbit. And then at the end of the show, they unmasked Anonymous. My final guess was Demi Lovato because of all the clues. And the big giveaway was the Nick Jonas painting, and then how she hit rock bottom at one point of her life, and she's from Texas, and the dinosaurs, the Barney reference. That was easy. Ken went with Lady Gaga. So the case for Lady Gaga was with the clues. Texas, Poker Face, Texas Hold'em. I don't know where the tie with Nick Jonas would have came in. She's on the Times 100 list. The Concrete, she also is an actress. She is in A Star is Born, obviously, and then she's going to be Harley Quinn in the Joker movie coming up, and I believe it's next year. Or it might be the following year. And then Princess Crown, she has a song called Princess Di. So I understand where Ken was coming from. That wasn't a bad guess. Even the crowd liked Ken's guess. That was a good guess. Close to No Cigar. Robin, Nicole, and Jenny all guessed Demi Lovato, and it was indeed Demi Lovato. And now I think she has the title for biggest get in the history of the show. More people know who she is than Kermit the Frog, arguably. In terms of teenage, if you didn't watch Sesame Street, you probably, or the Muppets, you don't know who Kermit the Frog is. But I'll put it this way: biggest get, most well known. I think Demi Lovato has the crown now. Although there's rumors that there's somebody bigger than Demi Lovato this season. As at the end of the show, they showed the season preview, and they showed Ken said the biggest get in the history of our show. But he probably said that when Demi got unmasked the other night. So 1 for 1 on the season. Awesome to see Demi Lovato on the show. And we'll see if I'm right with any of these guesses. All right, last but not least, my best bet of the day. I did say this was going to be a long show, but not a lot. to talk about turned out to be right. I have a couple nominees for best bet, but I'm just going to continue to fade Adam Wainwright as he is just completely washed up, and I don't know why the Cardinals are trotting him out there. I guess it's because he's on his retirement tour like Miguel Cabrera is. So, for best bet, I'm going to lay the run line with the Orioles. -1.5 plus 102. I'm going to lay a quarter unit on it. So, Orioles -1.5 plus 102 for my best bet of the day, the return of John Means. All right, that's it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow recapping everything. We'll get to everything. Tomorrow we have a golf tournament to talk about coming up. It's the Fortinet. So the tee times will be available before we start the show tomorrow. So that's good. So there you have it for the show. And I'm looking forward to tomorrow. Have a great day.